Next, a speech by Khalid Muhammad of the Nation of Islam. He spoke Sunday before Monday's Million Man March in Washington, D.C. His remarks last an hour and 15 minutes.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. We forever thank him for coming, as it was written and prophesied that he would come, to seek and to save that which was lost. And we can find no other people fitting the description of the lost brother, the lost sister, or the lost sheep, except we, the 50 million or more, mentally and spiritually dead, black men and black women here in the hells of North America. We thank him for raising up his messenger and his Messiah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. But if I live to be 1,000, I will forever and eternally be grateful to the man who opened my eyes, the man who woke me up, the man who taught me what time it is and put me in tune with the divine rhythm of the liberation and salvation of the black nation. I speak of none other than my spiritual father, leader, and teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. In their names, I greet you, my beloved and beautiful sisters and brothers and others, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. On the move. Free the land. Black laws for all black people. What's up? Alafia and shalom. It is indeed my honor and great joy and privilege to be invited by Brother and Dr. Malik Zulu Shabazz, who is one of the greatest student leaders of all time, and who represents to us the spirit of student revolutionary action that many of you have read about from the 60s, who has now graduated from Howard University I almost said Howard University, but since I just almost said it, there's no need for me to say it. So you can't condemn me for what I didn't say. Now that he has graduated from Howard University and graduated from the School of Law and has his Juris Doctorate degree, I think we should remember the great history and legacy of this young warrior lawyer student here in Washington, D.C. For whenever anyone is in trouble here in Washington, D.C., you could expect to see young Malik Zulu Shabazz rallying the youth and rallying the troops for them. You could see him at the side of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You have seen him at the side of Mayor Marion Barry, even though Marion Barry, at a time when nobody wanted to touch him, it was Malik Zulu Shabazz with others of the common people and students in a youth movement who stood up for him. And then after he saw himself rising, he distanced himself from Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz. You see him at the side of Professor and really Dr. Steve Coakley, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Tony Martin, Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakanan. You find him on the front lines. And so we are most honored, I'm seeing with Brother Malik Farrakhan and the grassroots and Don't Smoke the Brother. Ceasefire. You find him always on the front line, so I'm taking this time with all of you present to thank him for calling us together and having an African Black Holocaust and Nationhood Conference every year. Give him a strong black hand. Dr. Malik Zulu Shabazz, the warrior lawyer, in the spirit of Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, in the spirit of H. Rap Brown, Imam Jamil El Amin, and the great revolutionary students, in the spirit of Imamu Amiri Baraka, in the spirit of Sonia Sanchez and others who came to us. I promise not to be too long, but I must be strong. I did not come to a Black African Holocaust Nationhood Conference to tiptoe through the tulips. I didn't come to pussyfoot. I didn't come to dilly-dally. I didn't come to beat around the bush. I didn't come with a dance and a song. I came to place the blame squarely where it belongs. I didn't come to pin the tail on the donkey. I came to pin the tail on the hunky. That's why I am here at this Black African Holocaust Conference convened by Dr. Malik Zulu Shabazz. We want to try the white man today. We want to hold court on this devil today. Hold court on this cracker. And I am here to tell you that there will be no rush to judgment. There will be no rush to judgment, and we will find this cracker guilty beyond any reasonable doubt, with moral certainty, with no recommendation for mercy. But in the meantime, with Brother Mumia's son right here on the podium with us, we want to keep this cracker on death row with no possibility for a stay of execution. And so I yield now for him to read the statement from his father from death row. Please receive him. Give him a strong black hand, the son of our brother. For we must call, let me say this, we must not only call, but we must stand tall to free all black political prisoners. We're not just going to call for it, but there must be a time and a generation that will rise up, that will not just march, will not just protest, but stand up millions strong and bum rush this cracker and take our political prisoners from this no good, low down, dirty white man.
That's right. Power to the people. I'm here to deliver a message to the people. And I would like to tell these people that you have to stand up to this corrupt system. You have to stop hiding and be a man, because this is the black power of togetherness, of revolution that's been relived. So the people, you have to stand and stop this corrupt system from stealing our brothers, stealing our fathers, accusing our mothers, and raping our sisters. We have to be a people and stand there. We can't just talk about it. We got to be about it. So how many people is going to be about it? Free Mumia. We got to establish that. To free Mumia. We will not let the system to kill my father, Mumia Abu Jamal. Now, people, I have come to read this statement, and it says a message to the Million Man March. And I hope that you deliver this message to the people that could not come here, whether they was lame, scared, crippled, or crazy. I want you to deliver it to them in plain standard English. It says, a message to the Million Man March from Mumia Abu Jamal. On the move, long live John Africa's revolution. Many of you will no doubt gasp and be alarmed when you hear that the writer of these words is on death row. But why be alarmed? Why be scared? In America, are we all not on death row? Think of Miles Green of Detroit, Brother Duffy of Miami, of men, women, and children, known and unknown, nameless to all except those who loved them. Eternal black victims of the great white executioners. Since 1619 to this very day, when did the relentless war on black life continues unabated? Think of the martyred ones, those 28 men who soldiered for the Black Panther Party, like Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, George Luther Jackson, and Jonathan Jackson. Think of the Move marchers of May 13, 1985, bombed into oblivion by this very government. Were they not on death row? And that is our problem, isn't it? At this march, let us now use this massive strength to organize, to rebuild, to breathe new life into our people's movements, to free ourselves from our deadly daily reality. If we merely come together to beat our feet, shout our lungs out, and shake our fists at an empty sky, we have failed. All the universe pulsates with purpose. Will we be out of sync with the natural rhythms of the universe itself? What is our purpose? Let us organize our strength for our collective freedom. Let us organize our collective power to shout out, not in supplication, but in militant affirmation of our God-given worth. On the move, let us organize, for in unity there is strength. Use this opportunity to build strong, deep, and lasting organizational expression of our truest selves, ones which speak our truths unafraid to the world, ones that do righteous battle for our interests, one that support the simple yet profound principle that a truly free and independent people do what needs to be done to preserve their existence and protect their tomorrows, no matter what. Be militant. Be committed. Let freedom become your faith. Let revolution become your religion. On the move. It is one of America's firmest goals to keep the grandsons of slaves helpless and virtually powerless. If you can't help yourselves, you can't help others. Power ain't a job, nor a title. It's the ability to make things happen, period. Let us organize our collective will. Let us build. Our grandmothers and grandfathers built this nation with the blood, sweat, and tears of their stolen toil. Let us build, organize, on the move. Long live John Africa and revolution. Peace.
Give them a strong black hand, brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters, we want to begin, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. We want to begin with the trail of bloody evidence. The trail of bloody evidence that leads from Africa all the way to the door of the Pope in the Vatican, all the way up to the signs, the telltale signs on the back gate and the front gate of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We want to deal with the trail of bloody evidence and the overwhelming and compelling DNA evidence. This time it's no white Bronco chase. We're dealing with the slave ships, the good ship Jesus of Lubeck. No white Bronco chase, but the slave ships of the Grace of Mary, the Holy Mother, and other names that they gave them, the grace of God, names that the white man gave to his slave ships. We want to deal with the abuse and misuse of not only the black woman and the rape of our great-great-grandmother. I don't know which great it was. Hell, all of them were great. But also the abuse and the misuse of the white man's woman, because he has abused her ever since we have been able to trace the history from the cave to the condo. She had to fight him even to vote with the women's suffrage. She still works in the same positions today and does not receive equal pay. He uses her in all kinds of compromising sex commercial positions just to sell his cheap and no good merchandise. So the domestic abuse, the spousal abuse, the sexism, the racism, the Zionism, the imperialism, all of the signs and clues, all of the evidence is there before us. His history books, his textbooks, his schools, his colleges and universities have become a cesspool of contamination. A cesspool of contamination, and his history is exactly that, his story. It has been contaminated, compromised, and thereby corrupted. And having been contaminated, compromised, and thereby corrupted, we find that the defendant, the white man, AKA the cracker, the peckerwood, the devil, the beast, Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub. The guy goes by many names. His aliases are all over the globe. We will not present to you here today a mountain, a mere mountain of evidence. We have a world of evidence, an entire universe of evidence against the white man. He is the coldest, most vicious one that has ever lived 196,940,000 square miles of the planet Earth. The Japanese people will be a witness against him, and they will not be weak witnesses, for he has dropped the atomic bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and they still suffer from it to this very day. The red man and the red woman, called Indian by him, on his way to India, gets lost, ends up in the wrong place, calls the people Indian anyway. I think his name was Christopher, reminding me of a Negro in the O.J. Simpson case named Christopher Darden, another man who apparently is lost. Give me a few moments. We've got to build the case. My little son, Farrakhan, standing with me. My son, Kalfani, standing with me. Give them a strong black hand. I see Brother Steve Coakley, I believe, with his son at his side. Give them a strong black hand. Brother Sundiata is on the stage with us. His little son, no doubt, is with Sister Chandalan, who is my little godson, Sekim. Let's give them a strong hand. I understand that Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz, Dr. Malik Zulu Shabazz, his mother is here. Let's give her a strong black hand for bringing into the world this one that we might benefit today. We're going to cover many things here tonight, but we must follow this trail of bloody evidence with no rush to judgment. We have been under the white man for the past 440 years in America and 6,000 years in general. We have lost over 600 million at the hands of the white man in the past 6,000 years. That is 100 times worse than the so-called Holocaust of the so-called Jew, the imposter Jew. Well, sometimes you have to be careful when you talk about them. I'm never careful. You can't even say anything without these imposter Jews running all over the place, running off at the mouth. You can't even sneeze. Achoo. Or they'll swear you said achoo. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that separation is the only solution. Many of you have gotten so comfortable today. You believe that the white man's offer of integration is a sincere offer. But God's man in our midst, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and my teacher who taught me, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, have taught us that separation is the only solution. There is no future for you in white America, black man, and there is no future for you in white America, black woman. A so-called contract with America, a no-good cracker named Newt Gingrich, another cracker named Dole, another cracker named Bill Clinton. Come out, he's going somewhere to speak tomorrow on racial matters. War criminals, a war criminal himself, and every cracker on Capitol Hill. It's the history of the United Snakes of America. All of them are war criminals, but he will not address that tomorrow. The history of the white man is written in blood. His hands are dripping with the blood. The history, the evidence, the proof fits like a bloody glove, dripping with the blood of the black, brown, red, and yellow peoples of the planet Earth. It's a universe of evidence, a world of evidence, not a mere mountain of evidence against the white man. Look at you, black man. Look at you, black woman. Here we are on the eve of October the 16th. Here we are on the eve of the most powerful, the most overwhelming event since our sojourn here in the hells of North America. 1 million black men converging on the capital of the United Snakes of America on a day of atonement. Not a holiday, not a protest day. That's too lightweight. We have come together on a high holy day, a high holy day of atonement. Not atonement to the white man, but atonement to our God, the God of our forefathers, the God of our foremothers, the God of our ancestors. For we have broken the laws, the commandments, and the statutes of our God since we have been here in the hells of North America. We must make atonement to each other. For as Ezekiel says, we are the dry bones in the valley. Dry of knowledge, dry of wisdom, dry of understanding. Why are we called dry bones in the Bible? God is not interested in some bones, but the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teach us that we are called dry bones in the valley because America is the very valley of the shadow of death for the black man and black woman. And we, like bones, have been disunited. We, like bones, have been scattered and separated, dry of knowledge, dry of wisdom, dry of understanding, in a valley, again, called the valley of the shadow of death. And so tomorrow we are called to atonement to each other. Nobody more divided than the black man and black woman here in the hells of North America. Look at us. You ask us our name. We give you a white man's name. We give you a white woman's name. Harry McGillicuddy, Jim Dandy O'Houlihan, Abraham Lincoln Culpepper, Hattie Mae hamburger with lettuce and tomatoes on the side. Whatever plantation we were on, we had to wear the name of the white man who owned us. If we were on the Johnson plantation, we had to wear the name of a cracker named Johnson. If we got sold to the Smith plantation next week, then we all had to wear the name of the new white man who owned us. And so here we are, 100 years up from slavery, and we still wear the names of the same wicked, white, cruel slave masters who kept us in chattel slavery for over 310 years. Robbed of our names, our language, our religion, our culture, our God, our folkways, our mores, our norms, robbed of the very power of our own being. No other people ever recorded in the annals of history so robbed and so spoiled. The complete burning and holocaust and genocide of an entire nation of people. And the nerve of these devils to become angry with our brother attorney Johnny Cochran. Angry with him because Mark Furman, who is actually representative of the white brute beast police all across America, the nerve of them to get angry with him because he said Mark Furman, he paralleled Mark Furman with Adolf Hitler. Look at it, so-called Jew. Look at it, imposter Jew. Somebody must call you what you are. Somebody must look you in your cold, lying blue eyes and pull the cover off of you today. I don't give a damn about you, and I will give you hell from the cradle to the grave. Always will I give you hell from the cradle to the grave. Attacking Brother Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran is using and playing the race card. Why would he mention Adolf Hitler? Mark Furman said the only good nigger is a dead nigger. He went on to say how he would like to bomb or burn all niggers. Is that not what Holocaust means? Have you so quickly forgotten Osage Avenue in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and John Africa and the Move family, where they murdered men, women, children, and babies, and dropped the bomb on an entire black community? Mark Furman, again, is a sign of the rabid racist, white supremacist mentality and mind that permeates the atmosphere all over America and indeed all over the globe. We all rejoiced when O.J. was acquitted, but tomorrow, October 16th, when 1 million black men will convene under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan here in Washington, D.C., we ask you, Brother O.J., Brother Orenthal James, will you be here? Because it was black women, black mothers who let him go home. It was black women who prevailed on the jury to let him go home, even though they knew he was going home to a white woman. Black women stood up to free O.J. Simpson. You know it's true. You know it's true. I do not believe that O.J. Simpson is guilty of the murder of Nicole Brown. I don't care, but I don't know. All of the black people who've been murdered at the hands of white folks, I don't know if he's guilty of anything else that they're talking about. I certainly don't believe that he's guilty of the murder of Ron Goldman. I don't believe he's guilty. But one thing I do know that he's guilty of being a traitor to the black woman, a traitor to the black family, and a traitor to the black nation. That he is guilty of. Get out of that situation. It looks like a white woman would have taught you a lesson. But you get out of that situation, Brother O.J., and you don't come home to your black woman. You come home to another stringy-haired, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, pale-skinned, buttermilk complexion, straight up but straight down, Miss 6 o'clock, ironing board backside, no frills, no thrills, white girl, no good, Orenthal James Simpson. Come on home, O.J. Come on home, O.J. Come back home to your black woman, back home to the black family, back home to the black nation. Let me deal with some of these issues. Some of you are now criticizing my father, criticizing my teacher, because black women are not going to be at the march. Only a few who are key representatives in the liberation struggle, but others who are key representatives and other black women who have well been represented from every stage of the organizing of the march will not be present. Why, black woman? As Angela Davis said, does that mean that we feel that we are above you? We're dissing you? We're pushing you to the back? No, black woman. We know that many of you can throw down if it came to that. Some of us learned the hard way. We hit you and got hit back. So we know you can throw down. That's not the issue at all. We know you are thinkers. We know you are planners. We know you are formulators. That's why you've been involved from the very inception. But it's time that the black man take a stand. You've been standing up, black woman. It was the black woman who carried us through the slavery system on the plantation. In many instances, you had to do things beneath your dignity just to keep your father, your man, your brother from being sold from plantation to plantation, from auction block to auction block, from city to city. You had to do things beneath your dignity, black woman. You carried us during the slavery system on the plantation. You are the backbone of the civil rights movement. And no pastor will deny. No pastor will deny that the black woman is absolutely the backbone of the church. If you leave church, black woman, church is over. Church is over. You're the backbone of the church. You've been the backbone of playing key roles in the civil rights movement from the front seat of the bus all the way to the back seat of the bus. You, black woman, have carried us. Not all black men, but some of us. We can hear a knock at the door. Oh, blue-eyed bill collector. at the front door, whatever color his eyes are, knocking on the door. Not all black men, but some black men. In the back room, as Brother Ajabu said, too many. In the back room, saying, honey, go see who that is, honey, and tell him, honey, I ain't home. Poor black woman, hurt, goes to the front door with her pretty lip poked out. And she says, he say he ain't home. He say he ain't home. The black woman has wanted us to stand up. No, Sister Angela Davis, we have to stand up. You've been standing up. You have nourished us and nurtured us. And now, as you are called in the Bible, in the book of Kings, a widow black woman, you're called a widow in the Bible, so teaches Elijah and Farrakhan. You're called a widow in the Bible because you're man, because we have been, as the Masons say, struck a blow to the head, which rendered us dead. Struck a blow to the head at the east gate, carried on a westernly course, buried in the north corner where there is no light, under an old rubbish heap. But it's a shallow grave, and someone must come with the lion's paw or the eagle's claw or the master grip that won't slip and raise this black man from a dead level to a living perpendicular and stand him upright on the square. And we give thanks to Almighty God. This is not a Farrakhan march, but we give thanks to Almighty God that one has been raised up in our midst who has a black man manufacturing center going, where he's turning black men off of the assembly line on a daily and consistent basis. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with a black man manufacturing center. The master grip that won't slip. Black woman, you are a unique woman, divine. There's a certain quality that God put into you, black woman, that he didn't put into the others. Look at O.J. Simpson's black wife. They tried every way they could to drag her into this. But there's a unique quality in you, black woman. She fought them every step of the way, even though she had been disrespected, even though she had been, in a sense, abandoned and kicked to the curb. There's something in you, black woman. O.J. Simpson took his money, found some glorified whore from the Mezzaluna, or whatever the hell cafe, and put his money in her, spent his money on her no good, ugly mama, and her no good, ugly daddy, and her no good, ugly, whorish sisters, who have all come out against him to this very day after he abandoned the black woman. Spent all of his money on the white woman. But the black woman still wouldn't turn on him. The black women in the jury box still wouldn't turn on him. We need your backing, black woman. We need your support. When we go tomorrow, we want to come back to you, new men. We want to come back to you, yes, some responsible now, but more committed, more dedicated, more responsible than we've ever been before. A day of atonement to you, black woman, to the black family, to our black children, and a gain to each other because we have been the dry bones in the valley. Look at us. Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Nation of Islam. Honorable Silas Muhammad, Nation of Islam. Shia, Sunni, Ahmadiyya, Supreme Minister John Muhammad, Nation of Islam. Look at us. Solomon, the prepared one, as he is called, Nation of Islam. Here comes another kind of Muslim, the other kind of Muslim. Here comes a Muslim who's not any of that. He's just a Muslim, or she's just a Muslim. Church of God in Christ. Church of God out of Christ. Church of God over Christ. Church of God under Christ. Church of God around Christ. Church of God through Christ. Church of God, no Christ. Church of Christ, no God. Church, no God, no Christ, just having church. Ain't got no God, ain't got no Christ. Some of us, I'm not speaking of all, I'm speaking of our disunity. Look at it. I'm with the Republican Party. And I'm with the Democratic Party. Fool, you're not even invited to the party. And it really ain't even that kind of party. I'm a white-collar worker. I'm a blue-collar worker. And here come a fool with no shirt on. I'm a Mason. I'm an Elk. I'm a Moose. I'm an Eastern Star. I'm a Shriner. All of these have good. All of these have positive. I'm Omega. I'm Sigma. I'm Kappa. I'm Alpha. I'm Delta. I'm Sigma Gamma Rho. I'm Z Phi B, honey, see me. AKA, as long as we live by the cardinal principles of the founding mothers and fathers, there is good in all. I'm just saying that we must pull the black family, pull the black nation together, and we must not let it degenerate into tribalism. That's all I'm saying. Pull the family together. Draw from the good of the Christian church, of the Muslim nation, the Muslim mosque, from the black Hebrew synagogue, from the cathedral, the black Catholics. Pull it all together. Because the whipping winds are blowing in America. We mentioned earlier the so-called contract on America. These are some of the whipping winds to blow on the dry bones. Cutting off the welfare. Cutting back the food stamps. Cutting off that constipating government cheese that they used to give out so freely. Procurement, entitlement, affirmative action, which was always just a Band-Aid. That's not real, and it's not a positive and the most positive step toward freedom and independence. We need reparations. We need some of this land, some of this good earth that we can call our own. And we are not just talking about some money from white folks, some paper with some dead Peckerwood president's pictures on the money. Our great-great-grandparents would turn over in their grave if they knew all we wanted was some money. And I don't believe that's where we are. We must have the money, yes. But we must also have land. Because land is the basis of independence. And we must have full reparations. I want to cover these few more points with you as I near my conclusion. But I have some key points that I must cover as we look at this trail of bloody evidence that will lead to the front gate and the back gate of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We will have 1 million witnesses coming in to bear witness to all that we are saying here tonight. To rape us, to lynch us, to burn us alive. Every law in the District of Columbia, every law in the state of Maryland, every law in the state of Virginia, Delaware, California, Georgia, New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, it makes no difference. Every law in the penal code system, federal and state, of the white man had to break those laws in order to establish this nation. We're going to poll the jury here. How many of you will bear witness that the white man committed armed robbery in order to get America? Let me see your hands. How do you find him? How do you find him? Hands down. How many of you admit that the white man committed grand larceny and petty larceny in order to set up the United States of America? How do you find him? How do you find him? How many of you admit that he's the most notorious liar and perjurer ever recorded in the annals of history? How do you find him? How many of you admit that he committed kidnapping? Every hand in here should go up, because you are all Exhibit A. You wouldn't be here unless somebody kidnapped you. How do you find him? How do you find him? How do you find him on the count of racism, white supremacy, the setting up of Jim Crow laws, setting up civil rights bills and voting rights bills and Reconstruction, and then turning around and reconstructing the whole thing, making us go over and over and over again over these things? How do you find him? Brothers and sisters, how many of you find him guilty? Find him guilty of committing the greatest atrocities of any other people ever recorded in the annals of time? How many of you find him guilty of starting World War I, World War II, working on World War III? How do you find him? How many of you find him the most violent one that has ever been on the face of the earth? How do you find him? There's no one more violent than the white man. An international gangster. America is a criminal enterprise. How do you find this criminal enterprise, America, guilty or not guilty? It's a criminal enterprise. It's guilt. We find them guilty with no recommendation for mercy. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in his book, Message to the Black Man, and in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper and the Final Call newspaper, under What the Muslims Believe, he says that we believe that the offer of integration is hypocritical and is made by those who are trying to deceive the black peoples into believing that their 400-year-old open enemies are all of a sudden their friends. He says further, we believe that this is the time in history for the separation of the so-called Negroes and the so-called white Americans. We believe that the black man should be freed in name as well as in fact. By this we mean that he should be freed from the names imposed upon him by his former slave masters. separation, freedom and independence, a nation of our own. The call is for a spiritual, cultural, black power, a spiritual, cultural, black liberation movement that moves toward black nationalism. I have never voted in my life. Who would I vote for? Who are the candidates? Satan, the devil, Lucifer, and Beelzebub. And either one of these crackers you vote for, you are still going to end up catching hell. It makes no difference. Brother Colin Powell has written his book, My American Journey. I don't know about Brother Colin Powell's American journey, but our American journey has not been a dream. It's been a nightmare. I don't know about voting for a man who will wear 4 stars for the white man. I don't know about voting for a man who will go into Panama, who will go anywhere the white man sends him, and he will kill black men, women, children, and babies because he has been sworn to uphold America and to defend America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And whoever the white man determines is an enemy of his, he will send his watchdogs, his attack dogs, to attack. I don't know about voting for Colin Powell. I can't vote for Jesse Jackson. But both Colin Powell and Jesse Jackson, we believe that since this is October 15th, at 12:01 tonight, we are declaring this as our high holy day of atonement. So as of 12:01 tonight, we're calling on them to become more committed to our people. So they all deserve a chance. Reverend Ben Chavis deserves a chance. All of them deserve a chance. Dr. Cornel West, Dr. Henry Louis Gates, they have been reported to be on the point for the Jews. But as of 12:01 tonight, all of them deserve a chance. They are our family. They are our brothers. And any sisters who need to come home, they too deserve a chance. But from this point on, we will be watching every one of them as we move toward freedom and independence. We all need to atone. I need to atone. But I don't need to atone for standing up for the freedom and independence of our people. I don't have to atone for attacking the Pope of Rome, who was just here a few days ago. You didn't think I was going to miss this opportunity to speak the truth on the Pope of Rome? I was taught under the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that the Pope of Rome is the Antichrist, is the dragon of the book of Revelation. It makes me sick to my stomach to see black people in Africa run over each other, trample each other, literally murder each other just to kiss this cracker's ring. Who in the hell is the Pope of Rome but an imposter? He's an idol. He is a false icon that must be torn down, and he must be exposed today. I cannot leave him alone. Talking about he's the vicar of Christ. He's the right hand of Christ. Well, when he got shot, when the Pope got shot, he should have been happy he was shot. If he was going on to glory, going on to heaven, if he was supposed to be who he says he really is, if he was going to the right hand, but instead they called in the best doctors they could find. He should have been saying, "Get away from me. I don't want no doctor. I'm going on to heaven. I'm going on to the right hand. Why do you make mockery of the Pope? I'm not making mockery of the Pope. The battle is for the minds and hearts of black people. We must fight for the minds and hearts of our people. The Pope is false. The Pope is the Antichrist. The Pope is an imposter. And I cannot let you take some cracker in your head and believe that he can intercede for you with God. You are the chosen people of God, and you don't need no damn cracker to intercede for you, black man, and you, black woman. You don't need it, black man and woman. Look at this imposter. Brother Sundiata is up here. I know that Professor or Doctor, that's what he is. Ashra Kwesi is here. Give him a black hand. The Pope, which is supposed to mean Papa, the Father. But the Bible says that in the spiritual realm, in the religious realm, that no man is supposed to be called father in the religious order and the religious realm of God. You go against the very book itself while you pretend to uphold the book. Look at the so-called Pope when he wears the high crown, the hedge crown of Assar, the hedge crown of that one that the Greeks, the freaks, call Osiris, wearing the hedge crown of the ancient black pharaoh, carrying the wasp scepter in his hand, the ancient staff of power and authority among our forefathers and foremothers in ancient Egypt or Kemet. Study Dr. Yusuf bin Yaqanan. Study Professor Tony Browder. Study Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Maulana Karenga. Study Dr. Sekhmet Nana Okosawa. Thank you, Faraka. Okosawa Sekhmet. Study the greats among us, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, Dr. George G.M. James. Study Dr. Malefi Asante. Study them wearing the hedge crown of our ancient forefathers and foremothers, a criminal, a thief, robbing us right before our eyes, carrying our staff or scepter of power and authority. And you wonder why I said we should raise this dress up and see what's really happening under that dress. I'm talking about exposing him. I'm not into no silly talk. I'm not interested in what is under the Pope's clothes. I'm not into that. We're talking about exposing him. It's a metaphor. It's a figure of speech. Why would you attack the Pope? Why would you criticize the Pope? Isn't that what got you in trouble before? If you're black, you're born in trouble in America. I'm a freedom fighter. I'm a righteous man of God, but I'm a freedom fighter. I'm a revolutionary. And in the Million Man March, there is a place for the freedom fighter. There's a place for the revolutionary. There's a place for the agitator, the irritator, the infuriator, that one who hassles and harasses the enemy. I don't care if I'm the 1,000,000th black man. If I'm the last one, there must be a place for the agitator. That one who agitates. I don't care how good your washing machine is. I don't care what color it is. I don't care how much you paid for it. It's not the rent cycle. It's not the spin cycle. But what whips and beats and turns them clothes every way but loose and beats the dirt and the grime and the filth out of those clothes is what's called the agitator in the washing machine. It's the duty of the revolutionary. It's the duty of the freedom fighter to hassle the enemy, to harass the enemy, to infuriate the enemy and irritate and agitate the enemy, to make the enemy make mistakes that they ordinarily would not make, to miscalculate, to be uncompromising, drive the enemy to the negotiating table with our divine diplomats and our divine negotiators. We must drive him to the table. You say, well, don't you think you might be undermining Minister Farrakhan and what he's going to do tomorrow? Shut up, fool. I don't have to be the quarterback. I just want to be on the team with Farrakhan. I just want to be a pulling guard, a hard-nosed pulling guard on the line, looking the enemy straight in his eyes, ready to pull down the line, breaking crackers' legs and backs so that Farrakhan can move for the touchdown, so that Farrakhan can run the touchdown. That's what I want to do. I want to throw the key block. Throw the key block. Dig in. Just dig in the dirt with this cracker. Down. Breaking crackers' legs and breaking crackers' necks, breaking crackers' backs, so Farrakhan can make it to the goal line and run the touchdown. And the referee said, why don't you tone down, Khalid? Attorney Alton Maddox, the warrior lawyer, Dr. John Henry Clark, the Reverend Dr. Ishaka Musa Barashango. They touch me with what they say. I can't tone down. I tried to tone down. God didn't make me to tone down. I can't tone down. I can't bow down. I can't sit down. I can't give up. I can't shut up. God damn it, I must stand up and deal with this fucker. I must deal with this fucker. I just want to be Farrakhan's flamethrower. I want to be Farrakhan's flamethrower that will burn up everything that gets in his path. And I say to every cracker under the sound of my voice that we don't believe that anything will happen here tomorrow. We believe that God is with us. We believe that he will be our buckler and our shield, that he will go out with us and he will come in with us and he will put his light above us, beneath us, and all around us. So, black woman, you don't have to worry. We've come to Washington. We've put on the whole armor of God. We don't believe anything would happen. But we say, leave Farrakhan alone tomorrow. If you touch Farrakhan, we will kill everything white that ain't right that's in sight. We will kill everything. Leave Farrakhan alone. I used to worry about what different people thought about me. But I don't worry no more. As Reverend Ishaka Musa Barashango quoting from Jeremiah, I got fire in my bones. I have to fight. I have to fight. I used to worry about it. Can't worry about it. You got to understand, black woman, in some of the protest marches, vicious four-legged dogs sicked on us by cold-blooded, vicious, two-legged white dogs leaped up into the bosom of black women and ripped their breasts. I remember my son Kalfani was not there that day, but my son Farrakhan was 9 years old that day. I remember at the University of Riverside, University of California in Riverside. Brother Steve Washington was with me. Brother out in the audience, he was there. Brother Larry up here, he was there. Brother Wazir up here, he was there. Brother Stanley 2X, this man right here. Brother Larry, Brother Steve got me safely to the car. Brother Larry was in his beautiful Lexus and blood was everywhere. This man right here, Brother Stanley 2X, looking like a blitzing linebacker. When the gunfire started, when there was the staccato of gunfire in the atmosphere, he never hesitated. He looked like Superman flying through the air with bullets flying everywhere. He was the one that took the gun from James Edward Best and fought him on the ground to take the gun from him. A true soldier. Brother Larry, Brother Stanley, Brother Steve, and the brothers from the Crips and the Bloods that day who had taken off their red and their blue and put on their black that day and took bullets that day. But I remember when I heard the gunshots ring out in the atmosphere, I didn't think about myself. My first thought was my 9-year-old little Farrakhan Khalid Muhammad. And I looked for him. I saw them snatch him and cover him, and the gunfire was ringing out in the atmosphere. Oh, black woman. That day, tomorrow, we can't have our women, our wives, our queens. We can't have you there tomorrow. We don't want our babies there nursing. We don't want our baby buggies and carriages all around. We don't want our toddlers at our feet. Come on, Sister Angela Davis. You're a warrior sister. We love you. You know war. You know revolution. You know this beast. We can't have our babies at our feet. We can't have our babies nursing. We don't believe anything will happen. But if something should happen, we don't want to have to reach for our baby or our wives. We want to be able to stand up 1 million strong black men and drive this cracker in the earth. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. I've got to say this since so many are listening. And now they tell me that C-SPAN is right now playing this live all across the country. You're live right now. All the way live. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. All the way live. All across the country. We're in the house. So you can just go ballistic now. I have to say, because many of you have not heard from me, when we talk about the Holocaust and the enslavement, genocide, the murder, the robbery, the rape, the loss of over 600 million lives, when we talk about the Middle Passage, when we talk about the murder of our people on the continent in the Caribbean, when we talk about all over the globe, and are now being the most robbed and spoiled people ever recorded in history, and still being murdered today, and the destruction of our youth, and the flooding of our communities with dope, liquor stores everywhere. And as Dr. Ashra Kwesi says, when we have to face the fact that we look to our enemy as our deity because you've given us blonde-haired, blue-eyed, pale-skinned gods to bow down to instead of the true and the living God, for God is real. When we look at all of this, we must say, brothers and sisters, that our unity is most important. Every October 16th, a day of atonement, a day of atonement, high holy day, every year. Brother, where's that t-shirt, brother? Hold it up for me. Brother Sundiata and I were talking. This is a powerful t-shirt here, showing the Kemetic, or the ancient Egyptian god, or Neter, we should say. The Neter Hey, which represents 1 million. The Neter Hey, representing 1 million, with the palm branch of eternity on his head. Coming up, here we find that they're coming up out of noon, the primordial waters of chaos. What is that a sign of? It's a sign that October 16th, the Million Man March, the Day of Atonement, that we are coming up out of the waters of chaos and confusion, slavery, suffering, and death in white America. And here we have what they call the Washington Monument, which represents the male reproductive organ, the male regenerative organ of Osiris. We know that George Washington never had an erection like this. We know better than this. Why did you say it? Because we must tear down this kind of symbolism in our minds and in our hearts. The symbol of resurrection is the Washington Monument. Can I take a few more minutes and just touch on it and show you how it ties in with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, with the black pastors, black clergy, black men of the cloth, and black women, millions of them backing us up, planning, formulating every ideology, every philosophy, every organization, every doctrine. Can I take just a moment? When we study the Medu Neter, when we study ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet, first of all, the first three letters of atone are what? A-T-O-N, Aton. Then we go to Akhenaten, who turned up the flame of monotheism, the belief in the one God. He didn't start it, he didn't author it, he turned up the flame. But now another one comes to turn up the flame. In 1995, on October 16th, to move us toward the atonement and move us toward oneness with each other and the one God, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But let's take a look at the history very quickly. When we look at it, we will find that Osiris, as they call him, or Asar, was set upon, was attacked. His body was cut up into 14 different pieces. He was set upon by 42 conspirators, led by Set, which means Satan in another sense. Is where the white man, I should say, gets Satan from. Cut him up into 42 different parts. Who is Asar? Asar is You, Asa, is me, black man. We have been divided. We have been separated. We have been dismembered. We have been cut up into many different pieces. And you, black woman, ISIS, you, black woman, Aset, have set out in relentless pursuit. Some of you have come all the way from California. Some have come across the Canadian border. You have come from far and near. Some of you are now looking and listening on your television screen because you want to make your black man whole again. You want to put him back together. You want to find the dismembered pieces and put him back together. So Aset, ISIS, found all of the parts of her man except one part, the regenerative and the reproductive organ. But of course, Aset was so familiar with that part until it didn't present too much of a problem for her to be able to form and fashion that which would serve for the future. And so now the white man in the Vatican in Rome, part of our Holocaust, part of them taking the history, contaminating it, compromising it, thereby corrupting it, setting up their libraries in France, in Concord Circle, and now here in Washington, D.C., the devil has taken the symbol, which is a symbol of our resurrection out of chaos. And it's interesting that it will be in the skyline tomorrow, a symbol of our resurrection, a symbol of us. Hey, the Kemetic netter, representing 1 million coming up out of the primordial waters of chaos and confusion. There's so much more to that. Thank you, sir. I just wanted to touch that. Black woman, we have asked, and black men, that tomorrow be a day of prayer also. That tomorrow, for those across the country who will not be here, that it be a day of fasting and prayer. To our brothers and sisters who are locked down in the jails and in the prisons of the white man, it is a day where we too are in unity with you. We must fight for Brother Mumia. We must fight for Brother Matula. We must fight for Brother Ruchell McGee. We must fight for Brother Geronimo Pratt. We must fight for Frankie Moore, Zulu, Kofi. We must fight for the countless political prisoners who are locked up falsely by this white man. No white man is qualified, nor white woman, to judge the black man and woman. Your criminal justice system is just that, a criminal justice system. It was set up by criminals, and it is run by criminals today. Judge Ito is a criminal, but he's really a victim. He's an exotic Japanese Tom. I've never seen a Japanese Uncle Tom before. This is an exotic Tom, married to a white woman. Now, we're used to every now and then a black Tom coming up. That's deja vu. But as Mooney or Stickney would say, when you get a Japanese Tom, that's vujade. That's something that ain't never happened before. Ain't know nothing about it. He must have forgot about Nagasaki and Hiroshima and the murder of his people. But a Japanese exotic Tom judge married to a white woman, when the defendant was accused of killing a white woman, the police planted evidence. Furman admitted that he plants evidence. perjured himself on the stand, lied. You call it perjury. The cracker lied on the stand. And the other cracker, Van Atta, lied on the stand. All of them are nothing but liars. Look at it. Edo is married not only to a white woman, but married to one of the ranking officers in the on the Los Angeles PD. Now, how is he going to go home and face his white woman, who is also a policeman, and rule fairly and justly on behalf of Brother O.J.? God had to put it into the minds and hearts of those black women, that black man, the Chicano, and for them to be able to prevail over the two white women, I believe, that were on that jury. I do these things. I cover these things for that purpose, to tear down these false images and idols. I was about to say to you that when I made the speech at Keene College that caused the president, the vice president, the Senate to vote 97-0, second time in history behind my teacher, I'm in good company, condemned by those crackers, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and for the first time in history, the full Congress, the House of Representatives, to pass House Resolution 343, condemning me. Governors, mayors, state assemblies, the ADL, the JDL, and a lot of other alphabet organizations. Catholic Church, all of them came out. I did not say as much as a word nor a sentence against, or as little as a word nor as much as a sentence against my teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I studied my uncle's history, Malcolm X, the brother of my spiritual father, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I studied my uncle's history, El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, brother Omar Wali. 30 years ago at the very same time, he was going through the very same thing. And he had already taken this test and left the key to the test, left the answers to the test. And if I couldn't pass the test after he had left the key and left the answer, I wasn't supposed to pass the test. And so by God's grace, see Minister Jeremiah Farad Muhammad here from Dallas. I mentioned Minister Wazir earlier. Minister Jeremiah was speaking about standing the test of time. By God's grace, I was able to come through that. Shot down like a dog, but still to stand back up again. Strong in my resolution and commitment than I have ever been before, because now I am sure, more than ever before, that God is with me. He has proven that he is with me. I have gone to the door of death and looked death in the face, and God has brought me back safely and placed my feet on solid ground. So I just trust and lean on him and thank him for sparing my life that I could stand another day at the side of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I close with a couple of more points. For those of you who are worried about work tomorrow, don't worry about work. If the white man's constitution is any kind of way worth the paper that it's written on, this is the time for us to test it one way or the other, Attorney Maddox. This is the time for us to test it. He claims freedom of religion. This is a religious day. This is a spiritual day. This is a high holy day. If the so-called Jews can have their Yom Kippur, Yom meaning the day of, and Kippur meaning forgiveness. If they can have their day of atonement and forgiveness, we don't have to beg the white man. We take this day and declare this day as our high holy day. Don't worry about your jobs. We'll fight them every day if we have to, and test his so-called Constitution and his Bill of Wrongs, Bill of Rights. Plus you got sick days. Call in tonight if you got the home number, or call the supervisor or the manager. Call in and tell them, tomorrow I will be sick. I feel the symptoms coming down already. I know that tomorrow, October 16th, I'm going to be sick, so I will not be in to work tomorrow. But if you're bold enough, after 400 years, if you're bold enough and strong enough, you'll just stand up and tell him, this is my high holy day, and I am not coming to work. I'm giving God this day. I'm not giving it to anyone else. I'm giving God October 16th. It's our high holy day. So brothers and sisters, for these past 2 days, we have been here at this Black African Holocaust Nationhood Conference. You had Dr. Jeffries, you've had Dr. Martin, you've had Professor Steve Coakley and others. Some of you have missed all of that, and we don't want to stay out late tonight. We want to get ready and be prepared for tomorrow. We have Brother Donald Brown up here. The Ku Klux Klan burned his home down in Boston, Massachusetts. Brother Donald right here. And we want to organize something up in that part of the country and begin to go to South Boston. South Boston. We know about South Boston. To help our brother out there in that area. So brothers and sisters, I say to you, as the scripture says, there's a lion asleep in Judah. Who will awaken him? Hold your positions. Hold your positions. There's a lion asleep in Judah. The scripture says, who will awaken him? He's a lion, but the lion is asleep. You cannot rule asleep, black man. A lion asleep in Judah. The Bible says that the people who have walked in darkness have seen a great light. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Another scripture says, awake, arise, ye men of Zion, shake thyself from the dust. This is your hour, black man. This is your hour, black woman. We shall overcome, yes, we shall overcome, because we will be joint heirs with him, the scripture says, and we shall overcome. But not only shall we overcome, we shall overrun. You'd better listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You'd better listen, white man, to every one of our religious leaders and various leaders tomorrow, because there's a generation coming up in America today that if you don't listen to our divine leaders who God has anointed and appointed for this hour, there's a generation that's coming up that when we return to Washington, D.C., it won't be 1 million of us, but there'll be millions of black men and women with their God and with their guns returning to Washington, D.C. one day by the power of Almighty God. Listen to Farrakhan. Listen to the organizers of this march. Sit down at the negotiating table that you might have a stay of execution, white man. But we believe that God will harden your heart and you will not be granted that stay of execution. Lift every voice and sing. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Lift every voice and sing. But at the same time, brothers and sisters, you better lift every fist and swing too. Thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you. Hold your positions. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
Saturday on C-SPAN 2, this week's Million Man March. You'll see our coverage of Monday's rally on the Mall in Washington, including all the speeches from the west front of the Capitol, beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific on C-SPAN 2. This week on America.